Have you come to the conclusion that there is something not quite right in the way you do relationships? Is it possible that the approach you're taking to making your relationships work isn't really working? Hi, I'm Dr. Julie, a psychologist and relationship coach, and my purpose here is in helping people like you do a better job of relationships so that you get the love and connection you're really looking for. So today I'm going to talk to you about the signs you might be a people pleaser. And why is this important? I get this question a lot because it seems like if you give people what they want, they'll like you and want to be your friend or your lover. So that's not such a bad thing. But unfortunately, it isn't really that easy and it doesn't really work that way. And here's why. Because if you're giving other people what they want and you're not asking for what you want, that's not a healthy relationship. That's a recipe for exhaustion, burnout, and disconnection. Paradoxically, you end up being less connected the more you people please, which is why you're people pleasing, because you want to be connected. So if you're successful at what you do and you seem to have a lot of friends, you might be surprised to learn that you have a problem with people pleasing. That's because your success is fooling you into the idea that you're doing relationships right. But underneath that success, we're often burned out and stressed out. We're so focused on other people that we don't even really know what we want. But if you've got a lot of friends and you're feeling successful, you think you're fine. After all, you're doing a good enough job of people pleasing everybody that they like being around you. And of course they do. You're people pleasing. But here's the problem. Other people don't know you. They don't know what you want. They don't know who you are. But they think they do. Let's put it that way. They think they know who you are, but they don't really know who you are because you aren't really putting yourself out there. So I'm going to talk about the 7 signs that you might be people pleasing. The number one sign that you might be a people pleaser is you have a really hard time saying no. I have a client who's fairly successful at what she does. She runs her own business and she's got a lot of friends. And I challenged her one day to say no between the time I was meeting her and the next time that we were going to meet. And I think that was about a month. She had a month and she was going to be hanging out with her friends. And I said, say no to one thing. And she came back a month later and she's like, you know what? I couldn't say no. It was like I had an impulse, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was yes. So if you've ever had that problem or you've ever noticed yourself doing that, that's a good sign that you're people pleasing. Another good sign, second sign, is you apologize too much. And this is a little bit harder to notice sometimes because a lot of times when we apologize too much, what we're doing is we're using the words I'm sorry to bridge the gap between what somebody just said and our opinion or what we want that might be in conflict. And we're using it to just kind of smooth the way. But it really makes you look like you don't deserve to have an opinion, to ask for what you want. And it's way overused. You might be apologizing for things you have nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong, and yet you're apologizing anyway. And you're using the I'm sorry inappropriately. So I really encourage people to banish I'm sorry from their vocabulary and see what happens. Okay, number 3, you can't enjoy yourself because you're always on alert for what you should be doing and how you could be making people happy. You know, if you've got people coming over to your house, it's what can I serve them? And did I get everything done properly? And are the is there toilet paper in the bathroom, right? And then you might go check it later because, people have used the bathroom. So you're constantly on alert and you're not really present for who's there and what's going on with you. You can't show up and bring yourself to the party because you're too worried about making other people happy. Number 4, you want everyone to like you, and you can't stand the thought that someone is displeased with you in some way. And when this happens, typically what I hear people say is, I had a great time getting together with my friends, but then later I spent quite a bit of time. It was even a little hard to fall asleep that night because I was just going over and over and over in my head all of the things that I said that might have been offensive, or if I didn't properly acknowledge something that they had done, or if I glossed over an important event in their life and didn't give them enough attention about that. And we worry about these things. And why are you worrying about that? If when you parted, everybody was hugging, you're fine. But we don't do that. We just churn through these thoughts in our minds and these worries that we've done something that would have been upsetting to somebody. So that's a good sign that you're struggling with people pleasing. Number 5, you don't know what you think or want because you're always just agreeing with everybody else. And that's when your friends express an opinion about a current event and you think, oh, that's a really good opinion. I really like the way she said that or he's described that. And then somebody else comes along and they have a different opinion. And maybe it's in direct opposition to the opinion of the first person. But you think, hey, that was a really good point too. I hadn't thought about that. And maybe I'll change my mind. And you might find yourself ping ponging back and forth, right? And that can, I've had people come to me and say, I don't even really know what I want. There's something wrong here. And yeah, there is something wrong here. So what you need to do in this case is to start to figure out what you want, what your opinions are, what you like or don't like, and so on and so forth. Number 6, the 6th sign you might be a people pleaser is you get the sense that people are taking advantage of you. You're the one that always drives. You're the one that always pays. You're the one that always makes the arrangements for how you and your friends are getting together. And they're just kind of along for the ride. They're taking advantage of you. And when that starts happening, you're saying yes too much and not really expressing what you need. Because if you don't express what you need, people don't know what to give you. And so then they'll just take what they want. Okay, the final sign that you might be a people pleaser is this feeling of guilt and worry about being selfish. Now, if you think that you might be selfish, I would highly encourage you to check out my video on the 5 signs you're selfish and the 5 signs you're not selfish, because that'll help you understand better what being selfish is. People pleasers worry about being selfish so much because that is like the worst thing in the world to be, is selfish. And yet they're the ones that are probably the least selfish. Now, if any or all of these resonated with you, I would encourage you to challenge yourself. Just pick one item and challenge yourself to see if you can change how you handle it. For example, if you have a hard time saying no, pick something and say no to it. Some of you might have heard this story, but I'm going to tell it again. This is kind of how I got into learning to say no, is I picked something to say no to. I was married at the time, and it was my husband's job to mow the lawn. And I was in grad school, which is, if you've ever been in grad school or known anybody in grad school, it's like a 24/7 job. So I was busy all the time. And occasionally he would ask me if I would mow the lawn. Now, I don't mind mowing the lawn. I grew up mowing lawns. I know how to use a lawnmower. It's not that big of a deal, but I had to say no to something. And I didn't need to mow that lawn. And if he didn't want to do it then, he could do it another time. It wasn't going to be a catastrophe if it didn't get mowed. So I just started saying no to mowing the lawn. And I learned a couple things. One thing I learned was how to say no, because I got several opportunities to do so. The other thing I learned was that saying no did not create any kind of catastrophe in my life. It didn't end the relationship. It didn't result in an argument. It was just no. So it worked. And then I moved on to other areas in my life where I could say no. Pick an item from the list and challenge yourself to do something different and notice how that makes you feel. If you notice you're really afraid to do something different, tell me what you're afraid of in the comments. Maybe we can problem solve this together. Now, if you do pick an item off the list, you're probably going to be challenged by your interactions with other people because you're going to be trying to do something different. And when we're faced with that, we often don't know how to say it. So for tips and guidance on saying it right, get my tip sheet, Saying It Right, Your Guide to Confident Communication. I put the link in the description for you. Did you get something out of this video? Is there someone in your life who really needs what I just said? So be sure to like this video so that it gets out to others. Share it with that person who might need it. And if you want more videos like this, be sure and subscribe to my channel. Take care and have an amazing week.